All right, welcome back to part 2. So in this section, we're going to talk about division. And to start us off, we are going to have a fun definition. So the definition, the quotient, A divided by B, or the other way we could write it, A divided by B, in which it's a fraction format, is that unique number C for which A equals B times C. Now, this is the definition, so it's kind of fancy sounding. Quotient is the fancy word for division. And to put it in more layman's terms, let's start off with an example we can all agree with. So let's start off easy. Let's say we have 12 divided by 2. Now hold on to your answer in your head. I can't hear you anyways, right? So I'm going to rewrite this in the fraction format. It's a little different for people to think of fractions and division as the same thing. This is 12 divided by 2. Now, we are trying to think of a unique number, C, for which we can get back A. A, in this case, let's use a color for him, we'll square box him, is 12. So, we're trying to think of 12 being the result we want, and we have B, in this case, let's call him red. We'll underline him. B is 2. And we're saying 2 times some C, I have no idea what it is going to get me 12. So now you think, and you're probably screaming at the keyboard or the screen, excuse me, and you're saying 6, because 2 times 6 is 12. So 6 is the result of division. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, because 6 times 2 is 12. Probably the most long-winded definition you've ever heard for division. Now with that, we can come up with a couple of fun rules. So I'm going to get a new sheet. If you need to pause, do so. And the first thing we are going to come up with is, let's say we have anything, okay? Anything. Let's call him X. And we are dividing it by 1. Now we can write that a little bit differently. We can say anything divided by 1. And order matters. So we read left to right, that tells us our division. If you're one of those, I shouldn't say crazy people, but I'm going to say it. You're one of those crazy people who like to see long division. The number that appears at the end or on the bottom is on the outside of the box, and it's dividing into the number up top or what appears first. So that would be the long division form. God, is that ugly, right? So we're trying to think of something based off of our definition that will get us X when we take 1 times, I don't know, the thing we want. That's unknown to me. Now, if you think back from part 1, we had a rule. Anything times 1 is itself. So what we are interested is in X. Because 1 times X is still X. Go back to part 1 if you don't quite remember that. So X divided by 1, anything divided by 1 is just itself. Because X times 1 gets us back to the X. I know, a little funky. So either you learn to love the rule or you memorize. Try to think about 3. Let's say, just, I don't know, picked it out of thin air, okay? 3 divided by 1. So I want to know what 3 divided by 1 is. So 1 times 3, sure enough, gets me 3. So that is what 3 divided by 1 has to be. Very long-winded way to think of it. We really aren't going to do that. We're pretty much almost trained from elementary school that anything divided by 1 is the same thing. But we just want to get that practice in now in case you forgot, right? Now let's try another one. Let's say we have 0 divided by anything. So we have 0 divided by anything. What I'm asking you to find, based off of our definition, is find, because this is our starting value, 0, what, I don't know, times X will get us 0. And now you have to visit part 1 if you don't remember this. But 0 times anything, whatever it may be, is always 0. So, in the end, our result is 0. 0 divided by anything is still 0. This is kind of confusing because I'm going to show you another rule that's a different order. Anything divided by 0. So anything divided by 0. Now at first shout out, you're probably saying, 0, lady, you just did it. But I did not. I did not just do this. This is a new problem. The thing that I start with, because order matters in division, there's no commutative or associative law for it. The first thing is x. That's what we want. And we're trying to find 0 times some unknown that will get us x. So think, well, 0 times x, peek here, is 0. X isn't 0. I don't know what x is. X could be anything. Okay, so 0 times x isn't going to get me it. Well, how about 0 times 1? Well, 0 times anything is 0. So I have 0 times, who cares what this is? This could be anything, but 0 times anything is still 0. That's not x. So now I have an issue. Let's go back to my definition, right? My definition is kind of not the best right here. I should write a little remark here that says b here can't be 0. That's what that little non-negative, not crazy lady talking here, that slash through the equal sign, that means does not equal. Does not equal. So b can't be 0 because now look back to our original problem. We're coming up 0 times something will get us x, but 0 times anything is 0, as this little definition here explained from part 1. So I'm never going to get x, so I say this is undefined. I can't divide by 0. The mathematician's biggest fear is dividing by 0. We can't do it. We just can't. The world explodes. Now, students always go, oh my gosh, this is one more thing to remember. 0 divided by anything is 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. So, I have a stupid way to remember things. And look at this first one here. And I'm boxing it in purple. Focus here. The 0 here, it looks like an egg to me. I don't know, it kind of looks like an egg. Maybe an oblong looking egg. It's on top of the nest. It's still an egg. It's all okay. But over here, now look at the second box. I have, let's say a big fat person, I don't know what that anything is, sitting on top of this 0. Oh no, that's not good for the egg, right? Or egg, I meant. So it's squished, that's bad, undefined is bad. So if the egg is in the bottom, it gets squished. If it's up top, it's still an egg. That's one dumb way to remember it. Another way people remember it is a cute rhyme. And let me write it down because verbalizing sucks. Some people say under the line. So the 0 is under the line, being the division symbol. We say undefined, right? Pretty clever, huh? Okay, so under the line, undefined. That's the other way to remember. When you divide by 0, it's bad. Whatever way you do it, just remember it for me. All right, so let's get a little bit more practice now that we got some rules down. I'm just going to do an example. And let's be nice to ourselves. Let's say we have 5 dividing into 3,713. But be nice, right? Okay. So this is the long division way. When I do long division, I'm not always going to have a nice answer like I've been getting before. Even undefined is pretty nice. I'm going to ask myself questions based off of my definition. And if you don't remember the definition, let's sneak back. It's the unique number c for which a equals b times c. I know it's an ugly way to say it, but what I'm going to ask you to do is try to think of something times 5 that gets me close to the first digit here. Well, what times 5 would get me 3? Nothing, because 5 is bigger than 3. That's no good to me. So you could say nothing, and this is an ugly way to write it, but some people out there do. And then you subtract 0 from it, and you got 3, and you bring down the next digit. Now you go on, and you say, what times 5? Because we're always trying to figure out what multiplied by the divisor gets us the original thing we started with. So what times 5 gets us close to 37? And if you've been practicing your multiplication tables, you're shouting at your screen, 7. Okay. And 5 times 7 is 35. Now we subtract it, and we got 2. And we can start patting ourselves on the back because we're doing a good job, because when we subtracted, the number we have here is smaller than our divisor. Now we bring down the next digit. And we rinse and repeat, and we ask ourselves, what times 5 gets us close to 21? Well, the closest thing we're going to get without going over, you don't want to go over, is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. And we subtract and we got 1. Bring down the next digit. And now we go, what times 5 will get us close to 13? Closest we can get without going over is 2. And now we got 10, subtract, and 3's left over. And we already know nothing times 3 will get us close. Nothing times 5 will get us close to 3. And there's no more digits to bring down. So we stop. We don't know anything about decimals or fractions or anything of that nature. So we can't go any further. And I'm just going to extend my page. Oh, I kind of can't see what I wrote before. There it is. So my answer is 742. Notice I didn't write that stupid 0, right? I did that just to mess with your brains, right? Evil lady here. And my remainder, I call that R. This here is our leftovers. When we've reached an end and there's no more digits to bring down, we stop. And if the remainder is smaller than the divisor, we did good. So the remainder is 3. The thing up top here has a special name. We call that the quotient. And I've been saying this verbally. Let me write it down in words. This 5 here is called the divisor. And that's our final answer. We'll get more practice with long division. For now, I'm going to go ahead and do a new problem where we're going to be asked to solve an equation. You know what? I think I have it in writing. There, look, that's so much prettier than me writing. Solve the equations. So, our first one that we are going to tackle, let's start off nice. We have x divided by 15 equals 0. So, think of our definition. This is our first part, A, so to speak, in the definition, right? A divided by B equals C. This is per the definition. Go back and visit it. So C equals A equals our B times our C. Quick fix there. So that was our definition for division. So what I'm saying is x here is going to equal 15, and I already gave you the ending result of this division, times 0. Well, 15 times 0 is 0, so x must be 0. Now, 5 hours ago you had this answer because you said to yourself you knew the rule that said 0. I'm sorry. And let me erase that. I'm terrible. You knew our rule better than I do, where we have 0 divided by anything, right? And let's just say anything, equals 0. So in order for us to have x divided by 15, where 15 is any number, who cares, equals 0, the x had to be 0 to begin with. And that's what we got. You're probably thinking you lied to us. You said we were going to start easy. Okay. Let me give you another one. Make it a little bit nicer. Last one for this video, okay? Just because I've been going on for so long and you're getting tired of me. We have 54 divided by some number. Let's call it n. Equals 18. Now, I want you to think of our definition for division. I know it's an ugly definition, but it really does help us. So we have A divided by B equals our unique number C. What that means to us is A equals B times C. That is our definition for division. So what I'm telling you is 54 divided by some number, I don't know what it is, equals 18. So 54 equals because 54 is our A. Order matters. What appears first starts. We don't just get to pick what we want. B, being n in this case, right? Whatever we're dividing by, times 18. So I need to think of something times 18 that gets me 54. Now I'm going to guess. I don't know. I'm going to start off easy. 18 times, I don't know, 2. I love multiplying by 2. So 2 times 8. I'm guessing, mind you. I'm trying to figure out what n is. I have no idea. So 2 times 8 is 16, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the carry is 3. That's not 54. So that's a terrible guess. I misled you. Let me try another number. How about 3? And since I've already done this, I bet it's going to work. 3 times 8, 24. Place the 4, carry the 2. 3 times 1, 3, plus the carry is 5. And hey, look at that. That's 54. So the something, the unknown, that n, must equal 3 in order to get us 54. So let me scroll back up. I know it's going to be a little hard for you to see. Our original problem, we had 54 divided by n equals 18. What that tells me is if I plug in 3 into the equation, and let me rewrite it again, 54 divided by n, I should get it 18. So what that says is 54 divided by the 3 that we came up with, this is our solution, we should get 18. So go ahead, test me. Make sure I'm not lying to you. You don't know if I am. I could be. Take 3 and divide it into 54 and see if you come up with 18. Because if you do, then you're right. And n is our solution. Alright, that is all. I shall end the torture until next time.